Welcome to the Awaken Your Ego Podcast, where we embark on a transformative journey towards unleashing your highest potential. I'm your host, Joanne, and I'm thrilled to guide you through discussions that delve into the realms of physical, mental, and spiritual wellness.
Brenna here. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of wellness, offering insights and practical tips to enhance your overall health. From rejuvenating your body to nurturing your mind and spirit, our conversations will cover a holistic approach to well-being. I'm one of your hosts, Ariana. Discover alternative health strategies aimed at optimizing every aspect of your life. If you're ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and well-being, tune in, open your mind, and let's awaken your ego together. Welcome to a life-changing adventure on the Awaken Your Ego podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Awaken Your Ego Podcast. Today we have Matt Fraze coming back, joining us again for another episode. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to, I guess my inspo for inviting you on is 1, I'm comfortable with you. 2, I know you're going to do it. 3, I feel like you have a lot that you've learned, evolved, tried that I think a lot of people could take advantage of. And after hearing your testimony, I'm hoping they feel more motivated to try something different, to feel and look better. So Matt, I know we've talked in the past about like you coming on and initiating treatment at Ego, but where was the first place that you kind of started on your current evolutionary journey with us at Ego?
With Ego? Mm-hmm. Well, how was it? So I was deciding whether to go on testosterone or not. And that was a hard decision for me because being a strength conditioning coach and teaching Olympic lifting, it's a drug-tested area.
It's been demonized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's been demonized. And so I always kind of lived under the idea that if my athletes couldn't take it, I shouldn't take it either. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, what's the big, when you get through the idea that, well, first of all, when you start taking when you open your idea up to testosterone, it's all the misconceptions, like you're going to get jacked, you're going to get all this other stuff. And then when you start to realize it's going to be more emotional health than anything else. And he finally asked me, do you want to feel good 1 day a year or 2 days a year when you're competing, or do you want to feel good all year round? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's kind of a hard argument to kick back on. And so when I started thinking about that, I came in and talked to Pat, and we started looking at it. One of the things I liked about Pat was it wasn't, here's your dose and here's your prescription and let it go. The first thing is they started with the smallest amount and they said, we're going to try that for 6 months, which when you first get on it, the smallest one, you're going to feel better, but it's, what you don't realize is you start sleeping better. And I didn't realize this, but my anxiety levels started to drop, and then at 6 months you test and you get your numbers, and then after that it's about finding the sweet spot for you.
Mm-hmm. What's your optimized level for you? Yeah.
Right. And that's where we went from a half to a full. I think I'm a 1 milliliter, which is the normal dose that everybody takes. But it took us probably a year to get there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the healthy way of doing that, because you want to be healthy at the same time, be mentally healthy. And then once so I've been on it, 4 years now. Mm-hmm. And I think now everything is kind of settled, and I'm kind of into where I like my dose. Everything's kind of good. You really start to look back, and the health benefits are way more important than what you think is going to happen with this.
Well, and I love that you're touching on the fact that I think a lot of men and people have the preconceived notions about it. They're almost like mixing up what steroids are versus testosterone, and they're saying it's all just bad, right?
Yeah.
And I think I love that you see the different symptom changes. Like you're saying, I was sleeping better, which makes you then recover better, which makes you have more energy. And then also, like you said, the anxiety thing, I think BHRT is huge for women, because as soon as I started taking a small dose of testosterone,
my anxiety level went down. And people don't make that correlation that like your mood and how you're operating is that your hormones affect that too, you know, and it seems like a simple correlation to me, but I get that some people haven't made that yet, but I feel like way less neurotic and freaking out. I'm more chill, higher libido. I feel happier. I feel like, just more alive. I don't know.
And it takes guys a little bit. It's interesting. So Cindy, she was with you guys a little before I was, and she's able to talk to women and then, within 2 weeks they're down to ego.
Your wife is a great saleswoman.
Right?
She's
really
very convincing.
But, and then somebody will ask, well, what are you doing? Well, I take testosterone. And it's like, holy moly, they get this kickback like, well, I don't need this. And they start defining themselves as a man and that they're incomplete. And it's like, okay, you need mental health because none of that's true.
Yeah.
And it's like and I tell them, you're going to feel better. You're going to the big thing is, here's the lesson that I learned. I started at 50. I wish I would have started in my at least early 40s. And I tell people, you need to start doing blood work in your 30s.
Yes.
And they're like, well, no, you don't. Doesn't mean you need to start testosterone in your 30s. But there's other options to be optimal. There's other things that are not testosterone.
Maybe it's like a natural supplement. Like
a supplement, a vitamin, maintaining your sleep. There's a lot of other things, peptides, that are out there that can kind of move you forward. Because what happens is at 40, well, at 39, really, your recovery goes down as a guy. And you fight it for about 3 years, thinking that I can still train like I did in my 20s. And you do stupid stuff. And that's really when you get injured. And then at about 43, you start going, okay, maybe I need to rest a little bit more. and that's when you really should have started planning your hormone therapy. But, and especially if you're in a job where you're working at night, a lot of my friends are police officers or in the military. It's like, as soon as you get in, you need to do blood work.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different ballgame. Once
Messing
you're
with
doing
your
shift
sleep
work,
cycles.
if you're in a hospital, a fire truck, police, whatever it is, if you're a first responder, you need to get your blood work on a regular basis just because.
Well, and for women, I tell all women, I'm like, even if you've had a kid, let's look at it. Let's make sure your levels are optimal. It's everything changes when you have a child. So I'm like, even if I have a kid in my 20s, it's like, okay, for women, look at it in your 20s. Let's optimize. You have a lot to take care of now. Like, or do you have all the energy? Do you feel good? It's like, if that little supplement will help you optimize, like, why not?
Why not feel better?
And I feel like even in aesthetics, well, it's just generically your bodies are kind of deteriorating. Things aren't operating as well as a new engine. Things are kind of deteriorating a little bit. And even like your skin, you start losing fat and bone density at 25. Like you have, it starts going down from there. So why not try to fix what is kind of degrading?
And it's a multi-level approach. You need to be lifting weights. You need to do, and cardio is probably not as important as everybody thinks it is in your early 20s and 30s, but it becomes invaluable in your 50s. Like just walking, just normal cardio. Really easy cardio becomes really important, but weight training is always there. It needs to be there, not just with sarcopenia and osteoporosis prevention on those kinds of things, but it needs to be a valued part of your life, and it's a self-esteem booster.
100%.
There's something about being strong that allows you to kind of be a little bit more confident. It's not this dumb confidence like I'm the biggest guy in the room. It's like
it might be that
for some.
For some people, it's that.
For some, they usually have small minds, but
no, you're right. When I was in my late 20s, I feel like I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't prioritizing movement. I wasn't prioritizing exercise. I felt kind of skinny fat. Like I felt for the first time in my life, I didn't feel strong.
Yeah.
And for me, it really shook my confidence. Like, hey, if I needed to sprint, could I sprint? If I wanted to go on a hike, could I accomplish it without feeling like I'm dying? It's like, what am I doing? And I had a moment where I'm like, dude, we need to get back to the place where we're prioritizing this because you don't feel like yourself anymore.
Yeah. There's a thing, I teach it in my classes at the college. It's a thing called a strength index. And it basically, they did a research on a bunch of powerlifters, and they mapped them from beginning to end of life. And you peak somewhere in your 20s. And so the top of the peak is between 20s and like 42, right? And then after that, it's a really steep downward trend to about in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. You're going to be about as strong as you were at 12 years old if you don't exercise. And now think about it. How strong is a 12-year-old? Not very strong.
Maybe you didn't know me.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
Right? But here's the interesting thing, that if you weight train, you can move it up to 15, 16, and close to 18. You're not going to get back to your 20s. But what's the benefit of that? Well, what do you want to do when you're, I tell my classes, this is the dumbest thing, and I tell my classes, I want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a rest home. I don't want anybody changing my diaper.
I don't want to walk.
I don't want to put that pressure on my kids. I want to be able to be self-sufficient in my 80s. So I lift weights so that my strength levels will be higher in my 80s than a 12, maybe at 15, 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
Well, and literally this morning on the way to taking my kids to school, Dempsey had seen a stupid YouTube video, and he was trying to, he's 11. He's like, hey, Mom, you know the guy that created Jack in the Box, and he lived till like 96.
Yeah.
And all these guys that created these fast food places, they lived like super old, like in their 90s.
Right.
So he's trying to like advocate that food doesn't matter, like almost like that fast food helped them live longer. And I was like, D, stop. The number is not the metric for quality of life. I'm like, maybe they had longevity, and maybe there's a lot of different reasons why they were able to live that long. I was like, but ultimately, like, I don't care what age I live to. I'm not scared of dying. I want to make sure I'm living the best quality of life the whole time I'm there. You know, so I'm like, there's a big difference between the number and then the quality of life. I'm like, the goal is to get out of life what you want. It's not about being here for a really long time. It was just an interesting call I randomly had with my 11-year-old, but I think
it's actually more common than not to have that conversation. About 9 years before you pass away is when you start dying. That's the average. So you ask yourself, you right?
So
right,
sad.
9 years. But you introduce some bad habits, you can increase that number by 20, 30 years. So the question is when do you want to start dying? And that's that quality of life. Well, you can do some things physically, nutritionally, and then hormonally you're never going to get rid of
the possibility of
that period of time, right? But you can improve the quality of life through there. And you're still going to age. I had one of my former students posted the other day on Instagram, age is just a number. Yeah, I believe that too in my 30s. In my 50s, not so much. It's like age is a number, and you know what? It takes me longer to do things.
Like it's a harsh fact,
It is. But it doesn't mean I can't be fit for a 50-year-old.
But let me ask you this question. It's also like your mentality of what being that age looks like to you.
So, this sounds so dumb, but you'll get a kick out of it. I know where I was at campus the last time somebody wolf whistled at me. Oh yeah, I know exactly where I was on campus.
Is it a man or woman?
I have no right? I don't know. And it could have been a couple of my...
flattered either way.
I was flattered. It could have been a couple of my athletes pranking me or anything like that. But there was that time frame when you go from the good-looking professor to you're the old guy in the room, right? And
or maybe your hearing deteriorated to a point where you just can't hear it.
Maybe I don't hear him do it anymore. but here's the interesting thing is like you have to be comfortable with your own aging process, right? And I'm not saying it's different for guys and gals, right? If guys have a little bit more wiggle room than girls do.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe because you guys are prettier than we are. But girls should, girls do things, like my wife has a whole regiment down at Ego that she does, right? Where I can look, sometimes the wrinkles make me look more distinguished.
No, I agree. Men, this is stereotype, but I do feel like as men age, it feels like they become more attractive.
Yeah.
And as women age, it feels like we're trying to stay young and youthful. It's like we don't feel that same kind of pattern.
Right. And I think there's nothing wrong with either pathway being different. that you look, that a female looks at it and goes, I want to look as young as it makes me look healthy. And I think a guy, and I don't beat up a guy if he does that too, right?
Well, I'm sorry, just what pops in my brain is like almost like what society expects of men and women. Men can be a protector and you're just getting stronger and you have more wisdom, supposedly, right? As you age, women, we're kind of, in my brain, I guess, culturally, it feels like we're praised for fertility, for beauty. Yes, being a trophy, being something people are looking at. And it's just interesting how that affects kind of how we view aging.
And I think that at some point you have to be comfortable with the decisions that you make for your own aging process.
Yes.
And it's your decision. Your friend or your partner might have a completely different decision, and they don't have to be the same. And I think when you kind of buy into the idea, okay, I'm fitting into this realm. I really like being a grandfather. I enjoy that. I would not have enjoyed that in my 40s, my early 40s and my 30s. I wasn't emotionally ready for that yet. And I like it now. So it's like when you set into that, now what does it mean to be a healthy grandfather, right? Because I have different priorities in life right now.
Well, and how can you not present, but show up as a grandfather and stand behind it?
Yes, yeah, and chasing the health. I tell my students, go to the gym and look at what people your age are doing. Okay, how many of them are there? Most common 20, 30-year-olds, or most common people in the gym. As you age, you have to start looking at, at 50, 54, how many people are there? There's kind of a resurgence in that age group. And people are like, well, there's only like one 70-year-old or one 80-year-old. Well, that's awesome for that person.
They're that 1%.
They're the 1% that's figured. It doesn't matter if they're on a walker. I saw a guy at Planet Fitness one time on a walker going up to leg extensions. And I'm thinking, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's still trying.
He's working at it.
Yeah, right? Because there's how many other people like him in the gym? Nobody. And I think that's where you kind of come in and you got to push a little bit harder, in life, but also put it in perspective. You start judging yourself based off where you're at instead of judging myself against a 20-year-old strength coach.
100%. Yeah.
I'm never going to win that battle. And people are like, well, you're just settling. No, I'm not. He's never going to be as smart as me either until he gets to be my age.
Yeah.
And then I'll be older and hopefully not have Alzheimer's and still be smarter.
Hopefully I'll still be learning.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way, Joanne? Because Joanne loves working out as far as like fighting that comparison or fighting that.
I am in that right now.
And I was going to say, I know you are.
I knew you were feeling that. So I was like, gosh, I feel that right now. Yeah, I feel that every time I go to the gym because I am 7.5 months pregnant. And naturally, I start to compare myself to all the girls where I'm like, they don't have a baby. You're like, girl.
They're not eating for two.
Yeah, for sure. And so I have to constantly remind myself, like, hey, you are growing a human being and you are still here. You are still squatting. You might not be lifting as heavy as that girl, but still you're here and you're mobile and you're doing the work.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you're doing what your body needs.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. You're taking a snapshot of time. What are you going to be doing in 2 years?
I'll still be there. I'll be back.
Right? Right? 10 years, where are you going to be?
It's still there.
Where are those people going to be?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're not going to be there. They're not going to be there because fitness is a fleeting thing for most people. And the people that judge themselves the most are the people that are actually going to be there in 40 years. And they're like, well, you're always judging yourself against the prime, never recognizing I've been working out. I was talking to a really close friend of mine. He's been working out for 50 years. I've been working out for 40 years. And it's like, I never thought about that number. For 40 years, I've been doing this. Well, of course, I'm going to do it for another 20 years because this is what I do it now because this is what I do. But the comparison thing, I think when you're young, it's not that bad to compare yourself. The older you get, it becomes worse and worse because now it's your own personal goals. What do I want to accomplish? And it's also your personal limits. We're all going to get injuries. We're all going to have issues. And you have to, what are you willing to work around? At the end of the day, it's always about consistency, because people come in and they'll lift their biggest weight that day, but they may not come back for 6 months. And you're over here with a little tiny dumbbell in your brain, but you're there, and that dumbbell's not going to be the same. And in 10 years, you look completely different.
Well, and I think it's also like letting yourself know that everyone's there maybe for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Like some people are there for their stress relief. Other people are really trying to gain muscle. Some are losing weight. So it's almost like, why are we looking around when we should be in our own lane? Like do it for your reasons, for your health, your body. Don't worry about why everyone else is there.
And when you can set it down.
You don't have time for that,
When you can set it down and you're there for you, you don't participate in that rat race anymore.
You don't care anymore.
And that's I'm a little bit spoiled. So I run a college weight room. I have a garage weight room, and I don't go to commercial weight rooms very often. So I don't deal with the people in the mirrors looking at each other and stuff like that. So I'm kind of spoiled that way. But I think the big thing is when you get consistency in training, you're going to change, because that's the thing. When you go to your gym in 6 months, you're going to look different. Not just me. And everybody's, well, of course, she's going to get rid of the baby. No. Is your first one?
Second?
Yeah, you're going to look completely different. And because you're going to be motivated to do some things, those people are look exactly the same. Pushing the same weight, doing the exact same thing. But because your consistency is there, you do it when it's not comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Your body's going to look different. And we don't ever see that.
And I love that concept. And what popped into my brain when you were saying that is like when you're working with Lisette on the mental health stuff, right? And when I have like an awakening, it feels so like awesome. Like, oh, I have a realization. Cool. I'm aware of what I've been doing and how my actions are affecting other people. But if I do nothing with that, there it stands. Like you said, it's like doing a PR. I'm coming in, lifting one time, and I'm leaving. But if I address it, I try to mitigate it. I try to shift and exist differently. I try to communicate differently, and I'm consistent with it, then that activates true change and evolution. Like, so what if I'm aware of it if I do nothing with it? You know?
You have to practice.
How have you seen yourself tap into like maybe a shadow that you're kind of discovering, and then stay in it and be consistent enough to get through it?
I'll use a perfect example. I was actually talking to Lisette and channeled my inner 2-year-old, which was not good, and like had a meltdown. And I literally said, why can I be a good coach and a shitty husband at the same time?
That's a fair question.
Like, and I literally, and I say it's the 2-year-old because every guy acts like a 2-year-old when he's frustrated. We can argue about it, but it's still the truth, And I said, why can I build up other individuals and then go home and completely mess it up? And I'm not a bad person. I'm trying to do what's right. She's my best friend. And so that's where we started changing mindset of the only thing that was stopping me from practicing what I was doing at work and then bringing it to home was me. Because I thought
You're
it
the
had
common
to be
denominator.
Right? I thought it had to be different. And I didn't realize I thought it had to be different. Because proximity plays a role. Cindy knows everything about me, right? These students know nothing about me. They only know what I present. And so when I started recognizing that I could practice at work and then practice at home, I started making changes. But it was a concerted effort of doing it at home. It's different at home. At work, I'm successful because the risk of failure is really, really low. At home, the risk of failure it's not high, but my failure rate's a lot higher. So I stopped being not concerned. Concerned is the wrong word.
Well, you stopped assuming that everything you're doing is right.
Right. I stopped beating myself up for failing because I knew I was going to fail. And I start going, well, how can I learn from this? what situations can I do differently than next time? Mm-hmm. And then everything started to improve. I am not completely perfect. The hardest person to train is your wife. The hardest person for your wife to be trained by is her husband. Mm-hmm. It's just fact. But instead of, I look at it and go, I take personal responsibility now at home for my mess ups. Mm-hmm. Instead of going, well, which is a common, you made me mad, so therefore you're responsible for my feelings. It sounds dumb when you say it, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? And I started going, no, I chose to lose my temper because I chose to ignore what I really was feeling, which is maybe irritated, isolated, whatever the feelings are. And then I chose to put that onto you and then make you responsible for my feelings.
Yeah.
So that's where it was like, I stopped letting, sounds dumb when I say it out loud. I stopped giving myself permission to let my wife
be the villain
and be responsible for my feelings. I took that back because she didn't want it anyways.
I love that. And she knew it wasn't her.
Yeah. She's like, welcome to the party. Thank you for realizing those are your feelings and I don't have anything over it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you mean those are mine though? Yeah, those are my feelings. And when I started doing, and the other thing too is like when I struggle with Cindy, I practice on my daughters, because they're a little bit further away, and meaning that the risk of failure is lower. And so I practice on them. To be honest with you, whether it's me in a coaching situation, in a husband situation, or a father or grandfather situation, I learn to apologize. I own my feelings, and if I do something wrong, I say I'm sorry.
And that means you're confident enough to allow it, own it,
to be wrong.
And be wrong. Yeah, it's not questioning your character because you messed up.
Yeah.
Right. Because I looked at it this way, and you asked what was the big thing with Lizette or something like that.
So how did you keep yourself locked in it, even though it's awkward or hard?
I don't remember the exact situation, but I remember the situation of how it happened, the feeling that I had. I was probably popping off to Cindy something inappropriate and irritated, right? And I don't remember what I said, what the argument was about or anything like that. But for the first time in my life, I saw her reaction. Because usually when you're angry,
you're just worried about
in your own feelings, right? But I had done enough work with Lizette to separate my feelings and kind of pay attention to her feelings. And I saw the hurt on her face. And went, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
That's me. I have to own that. I hurt her.
Like it wasn't your intention, but you're owning it still landed that way.
But I did it anyways. And that was a pivotal moment for me. One, it was like throw up in your mouth. You're like, I don't like
I'm
that.
disgusting.
Disgusting. And you go into that but here's the difference. And you and I are very similar in this. When we find something that we don't like about ourselves, that is, let's cut it off. Let's fix this, and we kind of dive deep into it and go, we're gonna stay on this till it goes away. And so I kind of leaned into that a little bit, and now that's kind of morphed into where I look at my wife and I look at my kids and anybody I care about, especially my students and stuff like that, is when I say something, did I get the response that I wanted? Now, it's not manipulating them.
It's being emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
Watching and going, now, if they're hurt by what I just said, do I really care what I said? Or do I care about what they feel like? And that's where I look at it and go, I will apologize if I made you feel or gave you the opportunity to feel bad about yourself.
Like I can own that.
I can own that. And that's not what I want. And that's what I apologize a lot about. It's like, look, guys are dumb. We say things, that distance between our brain and our mouth is really short. So we say things and then we don't realize, well, that didn't come out right.
Well, and I like that you're aware of that because I do think it kind of boils down to the lack of acceptance of being vulnerable, the lack of acceptance of acknowledging emotion.
Yeah.
For it to the masculine, where I think with my husband, what I finally am aware of or I'm seeing is that we very quickly become mirrors of each other.
Yeah.
Of like the way I'm treating you, I'm seeing that come back to me and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think for me though, we got to like a stale point where it was like, I'm hurt. no, I'm hurt. And we both felt so justified in our pain that it clouded our ability to come to a middle ground. I'm like, I don't want to look at your shoes. I don't want to put myself in your shoes. I don't give a shit what you're going through.
Yeah.
I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
So here I was being a 2-year-old, all the while he's also being a 2-year-old. Like, no, I'm great. You're the one hurting me. And I finally was like, dude, I don't care who's at fault. I'll take all the flipping blame. We just got to learn how to exist differently. We got to walk through our conversations differently. We got to handle stuff differently. Because in my mind, women are oracles. They can see ahead.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to a dead end. I can tell you this. If we keep doing this, we're both fed up. It ain't going to work. And so I feel like we're now even currently in that process of deconstructing how we're accepting each other, because I don't want to be blinded by my pain. Right. Facts over emotion all day. Like, I want to look at the facts, but I've been so emotional and hurt by things and I haven't communicated that I'm like, just making him my villain. Like, you don't care about me. You're not looking at me. You're not trying. And ultimately it's like, I'm doing the same thing back to him, but I feel more valid in my pain than the solution, you know?
Cindy and I had a conversation and we both said, what's square one? What's step one? She's like, I like you. Well, I like you. Thank you. We really like each other, right? And so now it's like, she's like, and we asked each other, would you ever do something to intentionally hurt me? She's like, no. And so like subconsciously, you would never do anything to hurt you. She's like, no, if I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to tell you straight up. This is about to hurt, right? And so it's like, we had this conversation.
But you had to believe it.
Right? And so now when we sit down and we have a point of discussion, it's like our base point is, she likes me, I like her.
Like, I got to remember that.
I got to remember that. And that's reminding ourselves. And there's sometimes I tell her, you know, and sometimes she has to tell me, hey, you remember, you're my best friend. I like you.
Like, I'm on your team.
I'm on your team. I'm not doing anything to hurt you. And she says the same thing to me. And then we kind of just we remind ourselves of that. And that takes away a lot of the stuff. Because in the beginning, you know, when you're at that year 20 or 15 to 20 years of marriage, you're like, oh, she's just doing this because she hates me, right?
She's trying to stick it to me.
Right? She's just trying to push my buttons. None of that was ever true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I said to myself.
If you believe it
but
is.
if I believe it, then I see it that way. And then I'm pushing her buttons and now she's going to push my buttons. But once you put the knives down and you go, we like each other. Mm-hmm. And it's so Carolyn lives with us, and her minds are blown when Cindy and I actually argue now, because she's like, anything gonna happen? And nothing happens. We say our piece, we move on, and she's like,
this is different.
You're not going to like go to your room and I'm gonna like hear the muffled no. Like,
you're not going to stonewall each other for a week?
Right.
Like, what is this?
It's like, no, it's like, I don't like that. She's like, I don't like it either. It's like, and then one of us say, we don't have to agree. Okay. You know, and that's an argument, you know, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, do I care? Mm-hmm. Not that.
No, do I care more about this problem than our happiness and our connection?
It's like, and is this problem going to resolve itself on its own? Can we do this separately? Mm-hmm. That's a pivotal thing. So Cindy and I think differently. If I call it a mountain, if we're trying to get to the top, I'm going to go this way. She's going to go this way. And in the younger years, it was like, hey, you need to come over to my side of the mountain because I'm safe
and I'm doing it right.
And I'm doing it right. Now it's like, well, we actually encourage each other to stay on our own side of the mountain, because she's going to see things that I'm not going to see, and I'm going to see things that she can't see. And at the end of the day, if we're going to end up at the top and both be happy, does it really matter?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does it really matter that she goes a different way than I do? That doesn't mean she's leaving me or that she's doing it out of my sight or I'm doing it out of her sight. We just think differently, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've had the thought lately too of like, what makes you want to control someone or a situation? It's when you feel out of control. Mm-hmm. So that's a signal to me. I'm like, when I feel like I want to start criticizing and start controlling things, I'm like, why do I feel out of control right now?
So this is, I actually had this conversation with Cindy, because I've talked about my childhood with you offline and stuff like that. And guys tend to try to make their wives like their mothers. That's not a good thing for me.
It's not a good thing for anyone.
It's not a good thing for anyone.
Oh, I got it. In your particular situation, yeah. What are we doing?
Not a really good thing. And so now I've worked with Lizette long enough to where I'll be doing something and then I can see a flash. Oh, I just tried to make her my mother. And, you know, and that's very helpful for me because it's like, it's not something that I say or do. I was like, then I'll just take 2 steps back and go, that's not what I want. It's not fair to my mom. It's not fair to Cindy. It's not fair to me. None of that's right. But it comes down to the control. It's like, why am I trying to put you in this box? I married you. No, we got married because you weren't in my box. You opened up this whole new world for me. So I need to lean into that. That's where talking to Lizette helps out a lot, is because now I'm at that point, and I'm not evolved, but I'm at that point where like I can start to see triggers before they happen or be in them and see them quicker. Like the other day, I told Cindy, hey, I'm a little triggered right now. I don't know why I have this anxiety, and she goes, okay, you're going to need your space for a little bit. We don't need to go in and like irritate each other. And I'm recognizing like, okay, this is whatever comes out of your mouth for the next hour needs to be nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, and she realizes that anything comes out of my mouth, it's triggered. So she's not going to be too sensitive about it. But I'm really working on not being sensitive. And I think that's really, really healing.
Well, and it's like when you finally see your partner as a human, not like, why aren't you comforting me? Why aren't you doing this for me? Why aren't you making my life easier? I didn't realize I was subconsciously doing that. But I think for a while I was doing that. I'm like, when are you going to show up? When am I going to be happy? And I'm like, shit, I'm putting all my happiness on this person. That's a lot of expectation to wrap onto a person.
It's hard to, like, I grew up in a generation where you had to ask for things. And here's an interesting thing. The more work I do, the women in the women in my life get closer without me asking. And it's like, I don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, I understand.
Innately, that's what they want to do.
But your mindset is like, well, I have to ask for this. I have to ask for that. But the more you ask, the further they're like, I don't want another 2-year-old in my life.
Yeah. Don't make me.
Don't make me do it. But what's interesting is when I started emotionally being more responsible for my own feelings and not, and then the other thing too is when I get angry, I tell myself, anger is a secondary emotion. What am I really feeling?
Yes. Love that.
You know, and then I read something the other day that most emotions only last 90 seconds if you deal with them and let them pass through. If you hold on to them, now you're in it for years.
And we just talked about that with Lizette on the podcast, how like that emotions are a signal, not a state of being.
Yes.
And I that's exactly what you're saying right there.
And so when I started doing that more, my daughters, my athletes, the people that I care about, and I'm mostly with women, they like to support and they like to feel that connective thing, and they gave you everything that you wanted without asking for it. And it's like, well, okay, I wish I'd have known that in my 20s, you know, because, you know.
Like, I wish I didn't feel like I had to throw a fit to get attention or throw a fit to get my way.
Right. And then, you know, like I wasted a lot of time, you know, and I think that's where people, they're so scared to be in touch. They're so, especially people my age, they're so afraid to apologize to their adult children.
Because it means they were wrong.
Because they think they're going to act.
Which is a false belief, you know?
They think they're going to act the way I would act when I was unhealed. And that's not how it's going to happen. You know, you apologize. Like, so Carol and I had a conversation the other day about, and it morphed into something else, about guilt from disappointing.
The shame we let ourselves carry.
And she started going down this road about how she was not feeling good that she had disappointed somebody. And I said, no, that's not on you. That's on your mother and I. That we did that to you. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, because we were raised in a generation that disappointing your parents was the worst thing that you could do in life. And so we taught you that if you disappoint us, that's the worst thing that you can do. And we were wrong. And that morphed into a conversation that we had about what's the job of the oldest child. You're responsible for all your younger siblings. And if your younger siblings do something wrong, it's your fault. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at Carol and I went, I need to call Jessica. And she's like, what? I got to apologize because I did that to her.
I'm now aware. I'm doing this to you guys this whole time.
And so it's an interesting thing. So I got on the phone a couple of days later because Jessica and I call on Thursdays because that's our schedule. And I talking to her and I said, I need to apologize to you. And I said, because you were the oldest, I made you responsible for your sister's actions, and I was wrong. I didn't justify it. I didn't come out with a rationalization. Well, I did it because that's the only thing. I didn't say any of that. I just said I was wrong and I shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. She said, thank you for telling me that. That's what she did. She didn't go in and say, well, she didn't dig me a little bit more.
She didn't turn the knife.
She didn't turn a knife, and it's like, it was healing for her, but motivating for me because it's like, I can apologize to my kids and I can rectify a lot of the things that I did when I was younger and I can stop what I did.
And it doesn't change who you are.
It doesn't change who I am. And they're not mad at me.
And being wrong is okay. But it's like, I think some people think like, oh, if I admit I'm wrong, it means I'm bad. And then everyone's going to think all these things about me. And ultimately it's like, no, it's not everyone makes mistakes. Mm-hmm. Why is one mistake putting your whole character in question?
And you think about it for a moment, you just attach everybody else's feelings onto yourself if you're wrong. It's like, what's the big deal of being wrong? Mm-hmm. We are all going to get there. Why don't we teach others that when we're wrong, we try to rectify the situation by owning our feelings. Mm-hmm. And then that gives them the opportunity to do the same thing, but it's not required. I don't expect my kids to apologize to me.
But you will.
Yeah. They will do it, mm-hmm. but I don't expect it. Yeah. I want them to do it.
It's not a condition of your love.
It's not a condition. And I think the real key as a parent or a grandparent, especially with adult children, don't justify your actions. Mm-hmm. And because
that invalidates their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You just turned that apology into an excuse. Mm-hmm. And you have to own the excuse. And here's the other thing too. Cindy's my best friend. Like, why would I want to hurt her? Mm-hmm. And what would I do? What would I take on to alleviate her pain? Is it really, and it's not about self-abuse in the sense of causing myself pain, but it's like, wouldn't I be willing to be humble if it made her feel better?
If she was actually your best friend and the most important thing.
Right? It's like, so wouldn't, and here's the thing, is like, when you cut the bad out, it's like surgery. You have healing from surgery, but then the pain is gone. Mm-hmm. It's better than the pain that you had before when it was hurting.
The consistent nagging pain, yeah.
Yeah, that's the big.
Well, and Joanne, I just have to ask, because I feel like, Matt, that's like a really big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for you that you're able to do that so freely with your daughters. And I know you can, but just hearing you say it so succinctly and like right now, like, I'm just like, that's huge. Yeah. I was like, Joanne, could you imagine your dad calling you up and saying that?
No.
No. But now, it's like, no, like, it's just, no. It's not
but now
common.
It's possible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we were at a couples trip like last weekend, and we got on the topic of like, why, well, my boyfriend brought it up, and I feel like he was purposely trying to do that. It's like, why is it so hard to apologize to the closest people to you or the people that you love versus a stranger? And, he asked, well, because for me, I have a hard time apologizing. He will apologize for anything and he owns up to it. And then he'll look to me like, oh, are you going to apologize?
Turn. Okay, Joanne, your turn.
I'm so like, I'm sorry you got offended. I'm sorry that you didn't understand.
I'm sorry you can't handle it.
Yeah. And so that's definitely me. Yeah. But when we were talking about it, it's like, I never heard my mom apologize. I never heard my dad apologize for things that they knew. If they we all all know that you're
We all
wrong.
mess
We can
up.
prove you wrong, but I would never hear it. And so for me, it's like, yeah, I wish I would have grown up in a household where they would have taken accountability and owned up to it as a child and even now as an adult, but it's just like, I didn't grow up hearing that. And so I think that would make a huge difference. It would have made a huge difference. And even now as an adult.
So the reason why I'll never get an apology from my mother, ever. And people are like, no, you don't ever know. No, I had to, somebody asked me to call at one of those challenging moments where you're like, okay. And so I called her. The only thing she ever brought up is said, will you forgive me? She has no clue I remember. No clue that I remember everything. And yet the only thing that she could ask is that could I forgive her? And I can do that. And I do forgive her. But I'm at a state in my life where I don't need her to apologize to me anymore, because I can apologize to my kids. I can give my children what I don't get. And it fills the box. That's the thing.
It's rewarding.
Like,
when it's healing.
It fills the box of like, I know that I'm never going to be apologized to. And that creates a hole, but I can fill that hole
by giving others
by
the
giving
gift.
somebody else what
100%.
I'm not being given. And then it's like, I don't want it anymore. I don't need, my mom's on her own journey.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Like, I'm not in so much pain that I'm like craving that so hard. It's like, no. That energy is released. She doesn't have that power. I'm doing that over here.
And then she can heal on her own time and all those kinds of things. But that's the thing is the apology. And the other thing too is we work together. I don't want to say but in our home and with our group of friends, I really don't like them justifying their actions. Like, you don't have to justify why you didn't do this. Yes or no. And it's not a mean thing. It's like, because back in the 70s and the 80s, if you messed up, you had to explain yourself. The answer was never good enough, because it was about making you feel pain to the point of where you didn't want to do this again. What's the negative part? Well, I turn around and do that to my daughters.
Yeah.
And now they're like, I will tell you whatever you need to hear so that I can get out of this situation. And then I've taught them that you need to feel pain if you apologize. None of that's true. And so it's like, for me, it's like, I don't expect somebody to justify their actions, because they don't have to because it's never going to be a good situation. I don't know how to say it right.
Yeah. Well, it's because I think what happens when someone's trying to justify what they did is they're trying to release the malice in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I think sometimes the excuse is enough, like, oh, well, sorry, whatever, this is why I did it. But I think with my spouse, sometimes I try to explain my intent.
Yeah.
And Cody's like, well, that's just an excuse. And I was like, hold on. No. I'm not excusing my behavior. I'm not excusing how it affected you. I know it affected you in this way. But I want the stage for a second so I can explain where I was coming from, so it can release the malice. I'm like, you're assuming a negative thing. I just want you to know my intent was always positive, didn't land right, ended up affecting you negatively. So I can own that. But the explanation makes me feel better so that, I didn't do this on purpose. But I think in the past, you'd always take it as like, oh, it's an excuse. How come you get to have excuses and mine don't matter? And I'm like, no. Your explanation always matters, because it releases the intense anger. It's like, it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is, when you expect somebody to justify themselves to you, they have to meet your standard. How do I know my standard's right?
Yeah.
Right?
If I'm in pain and I think you need to feel pain so that you understand the pain that you caused me, that's not a really good standard.
It's a toxic equation.
Right? And so for me, it's like, I need to release my feelings or my standards of what it is, and understand. Goes back to that conversation that Cindy and I had. You like me, I like you. That's base one. We didn't do this to cause pain. It did, and we're sorry, but it didn't originate from pain. So therefore, when she does explain herself, or I explain myself to her, it's coming from a place of, I thought this was going to work.
And that's, yes. And I think that is like keeping the macro picture in mind. And I think that's something I'll bring up a lot in our like conversations I have with my spouse of like, hey, macro picture, like bigger picture, please. Like what are we trying to get out of this combo? Are we ripping each other to shreds and tearing each other down because it feels good? Because I'm in so much pain. Like you said, I want you to feel what I'm feeling. I'm like, hold on, bigger picture. We want to be together. We want to be happy. Right. But I feel like I have to, I welcome him reminding me of that. And I try to remind him of like, but how is this helping our bigger picture goal here?
And it's really the practices where I put most of my effort is I allow my kids, I don't like the word, I encourage my kids to tell me what they don't like. And they don't have to find something wrong. Like, so my oldest daughter went into therapy. And so I got on the phone with her. I said, Jess, you're going to come to me with some issues.
Look, I'm already anxious about it. I already know it's going to be a thing.
And I'm like, and you should. And I'm going to own every one of them. It's like, I thought I was a good dad. I did rationalize a little bit. I said, but that doesn't mean that I didn't mess up.
You're going to miss something.
And it says, and I'm telling you now because you're going to be scared to come talk to me. I said, let's get that off the table. I'm already going to tell you, I'm going to say I'm sorry because your feelings are more important to me than what I did, the justification. And I think that's the healing process that you can give to somebody else. Their feelings have to be important to you if I want my feelings to be important to her. And it's not a hook. It's like if I validate your feelings, I'm waiting for you to validate
but it's
my
that mirror.
feelings.
No, it's that natural mirror.
But it's that natural mirror is like if I just put down my own feelings for a second, you're going to give me everything that I need without asking. If I give you everything that you need without you asking. If you have to justify, hey, Matt, can't you just give me a break? I've already given you the break.
Yeah, I already told you.
I already told you the break. I love you. I care about you. Your feelings matter to me. And that's where we start from. Then you can express things that are kind of raw. And they're going to be hurting a little bit. But it's coming from a place where you don't have to meet my standard. You just have to express yourself. And then we can deal with the feelings. And I guarantee you, if we have the discussion and it's allowed to, like, and you ask the question, well, why did you do that? I'm waiting. That's the next question. I'm waiting for my kids to ask. It's like, why did you do that? And then why did you choose to do something different? Now I can give the rationalization to it, but I can also own, but I'm still own the problem. Right. Yeah. And that's the healing part of it. I spent so many years so worried that somebody was going to think ill of me, or the pain of apology was so bad. It's like, it's over so quick. It's like,
and it's so relieving. It feels good.
And they're like,
your stuff.
They feel good. I feel good. Like, it's not the next day. Hey, do you remember when you did that? Oh, yeah, you apologized. They don't say that.
No.
It's like it's done. It's over with. And now we can move on to bigger and better things, and to me, that's really, really important.
But you have to be healed enough to be able to create that space, a safe space, so that you can have that open communication. Because like you were saying, if you were raised in an environment where you couldn't voice your needs or your needs went unmet, why are you going to think you're able to do that anywhere else, And
that's where, so you talked about it, it's like the closest proximity. So why do I practice at the college? Well, ever since COVID, I've noticed that kids get yelled at a lot. And I see it in my classroom every day. And I'm in a weight room and I'm teaching them how to do weights. So there's a little bit of intensity in the sense of you're being judged on your performance. Regardless of what I'm doing, that's what they think, right? And so I look at it and go, I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to get in your personal space, because here's an interesting thing. If you watch most trainers or coaches, they all yell, they all get in your space, and they all use some level of intensity. Well, that's the definition of anger. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm not angry and I'm doing those three things, you can't tell that I'm not angry. And so what I do is I practice giving them emotional space, allow them to have their feelings. I had a girl cry in the weight room all day a couple of months back. That's what she did. Perfectly okay. Get your emotions out. But here's the interesting thing. Now that I recognize it, because that conversation I had with Lizette, why can I do it here and I can't do it here? Mm-hmm. Well, now when I took away that idea that it actually couldn't happen, and now I recognize it can happen, I recognize that when I do that here and I alleviate the stress of somebody else here, it levels up somebody else over here. Mm-hmm. Everybody's connected, mm-hmm. right? When you level up in one area of your life, somebody else is going to level up.
100%.
You know, and I don't know how it works. I just know it happens. Yeah. The ripple effects is real. And it doesn't matter whether we're doing it at work, we're doing it in our own little group. Somebody will level up because of the podcast. Mm-hmm. They will. We don't have to see it. Mm-hmm. But what the thing is like relationships get better if people just move forward. And that's the interesting thing is you don't know who's going to move forward. Mm-hmm. And you don't know when they're going to do that. Like I'm in a part where like Cindy's really good at manifesting. I am not. So tell me.
No, don't say that. Yet. Say, I'm getting better at manifesting.
So it's interesting. So our therapies are flip-flopping. Like, tell me what I do wrong. I'll work on it. Let's go through some trauma. I'm comfortable with that. Tell me what I want to be in 5 years or how do I want to feel about it. I was scared. So my last session with Lizette was all on manifesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting thing. Started putting it to work and I'm like first grade level, right? It starts working. Mm-hmm. I saw Cindy level up on some things just because I started putting some good information out in my own. Didn't even tell her. Yeah. Right? And it's like, well, why does that happen?
Because you're connected.
Mm-hmm. Connected, right? And now what I look at in a sense, the joke around our house is when somebody goes to Lizette, we're like, well, how are the rest of us going to improve today? You know, like if one of the other persons go, you know, we're all going to improve, but it extends beyond the family. It extends to your network of people.
Well, and I think when you start to have a belief that you matter, that your feelings matter, that your desires matter, that the way you exist matters, and it's not you don't selfish. Have to fight to prove it. Yeah. I think there has to, it just shows that you can be calm with your students. It shows you have a level of confidence that you're like, I don't have to yell at you to be heard. Yeah. I don't need to yell at you to make you know that what I'm saying I think is important. I think there's a lot of power that comes with having grace and withholding like that full expression of anger or disappointment or annoyance. It's like a lion doesn't have to tell someone they're a lion. Yeah. People know, like they see it, they feel it. There's a weight there already. But I feel like when someone can walk through life with that calm, cool, collected demeanor, to me that shows you get it. You get your power. You're not forcing that down everyone's throat. Like I'm awesome, or I need respect, or I'm so mad. It's like, why would I want to force everyone to believe things about me when in reality they're going to make up their own opinion anyways, regardless.
The anger is one of those things that you're the only one that thinks you're intimidating. Mm-hmm. Everybody else thinks you're a 2-year-old. Everyone
thinks you look like a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
The other thing too that I noticed is like, I had the thought. Now it's kind of jumped. No, not you. It jumped on its own. It was talking
We're talking about confidence. Mm-hmm. A lion doesn't tell anyone they're a lion.
Yes. No, it left. It'll come back. It
wasn't meant to be.
I think it does all come down to thought, you know, because especially in the breathwork sessions when I tell patients what you think, you feel. What you feel, you believe. What you believe, you manifest.
No, I love that one. Yes.
I was having a conversation with a friend. She's getting ready to go through a divorce and in that stage of life. And she's doing it for the right reason and all those things. And I sat with her and I said, it's not wrong to choose yourself. Mm-hmm. And especially for women, they're told that you need to sacrifice for the kids, you need to sacrifice for the marriage, you need to sacrifice all these other things.
100%.
And that is contrived into you need to put yourself second and you never can choose yourself. That's never true.
Mm-hmm. And it never tells you how much sacrifice is enough.
Right. Yeah. You can't choose your kids if you can't choose yourself. But they're told that you have to choose your children first or choose your spouse first. But the power comes in is when you can choose yourself, because you can choose yourself here and choose everybody else. They're not connected. And that's the big thing that I've really been trying to teach people and teach myself. It's like, it's not wrong to choose yourself. It's not selfish. You're not doing it to exclude anybody else. You're doing it so that you can be a better participant. You're not doing it to putting it, Lizette always tells me I do things for everybody else and not for myself. And so you can't do it for that. You have to choose yourself for you, because you're a better part of the equation for everybody else. And they're a better part of their equation for everybody else. But it's not wrong. And it's
when there was a couple of years back, I was talking to Brent about something. I was like, dude, I just feel like I'm not worth my own time. I'm like, how effed up is that?
right.
It feels like I don't want to pencil anything in for me. I'm not trying. I know I need more space and mental capacity, but I'm not penciling it in. It's like I'm allowing to, like, yeah, I know I should do that, but you need help, I'm there. It's like I'll easily distract myself with everyone else's needs instead of valuing, like, I'm important too. Maybe it's okay I pencil in working out. Maybe it's okay I pencil in meal prepping. Maybe, it's like, why not care about myself as much as I'm caring about everyone else? How silly.
That's how the garage gym got created. It was, Cindy sells real estate, and sometimes she works from home, and she needed time. She didn't ask for time. I just noticed she needed time. So I created my garage gym so that I would give me a place to go so that she could have time. And then it turned into, well, that's my place to have time. And that's where, thinking about it for a moment is that's where, when we come to looking at it with people that we care about, is, am I giving them space? And recognizing that giving somebody space is not opening it up for negativity. It's encouraging positivity, and doing that, we can choose our space. I'm a much better husband and a father because I work out in my garage and other places, right? But I'm also a better person because I recognize that Cindy needs her space too, And so,
you want to honor that.
And I want to honor that. If I want her to honor my space, I have to honor her space. But it's not a tit for tat. We're different people. We're on different sides of the mountain.
Different needs.
Yeah, and both of them can be just as important. So, yeah.
I love that.
100%. Sorry, it just makes me think with Joanne, I'm like, you're in a new dynamic, or newer, right? It's not new, but newer. It's like, how do you feel like you guys are currently navigating that? Because you're still in that discovery of, like, what his needs are. He's discovering what yours are. I feel like, has that been flunky or has that been easy? And I don't know. Does anything come to mind with that dynamic?
Not necessarily. I feel like him being a little older than me, a little more life experienced, it kind of comes easy. We're actually really good at communicating. And I love the whole, like, two sides of the mountain thing, because that's very much how we are. I was a single parent for so long. It's like, I have my way of doing things. I'm so independent. And I tell him, I'm looking for a partner to take lead, but if I want to go off my way, I'm going to do it anyway. And I love that he does respect that and honor that. There are some times where he's just like, just trust me. And, and sometimes I'm like, I'm stubborn. I want to do it my way and figure it out. And I also think that's like my Sagittarius way of
being free spirit. Learning how to do that dance with your partner.
Yeah. But I think if anything, it's communication.
You're not trying to get to a point in the relationship where you don't argue. Arguing is normal. There's supposed to be disagreements.
Yeah.
Because we come from the different sides of the mountains. I want to come this way. She wants to go that way. She sees something I don't. I see something she doesn't. But it's getting rid of the conflict of, just because we disagree, that we don't have to assume that there's negativity or ill intent on the other side. It's just, I'm
like learning how to fight fair.
I'm giving you my position here. She's giving her position here. Is this something that we need to compromise on? Do we need to go to one side? Or did we just figure out, you go your way, I'll go my way, we'll meet at the middle. But there's no ill intent.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part of the relationship, is getting real ill intent.
Yeah. Well, and having trust for the other person that they don't have it. I think it's like, for me, that was hard. I'm always like, what's your edge? What do you need? What do you want? What are you trying to get from me? How are you trying to control me? In reality, I'm like, I just have to trust that he's not doing those things. But it is, I know that was a hard thing for me to overcome. Like my own cynical headspace of assuming there's an angle.
And the sad part about that is it all comes from a child-parental relationship. It's not from a spousal relationship.
No, when I was a kid, I felt like when people tried to tell me like, you need to do this or you should do this.
Yeah.
I started to realize, I'm like, this has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You're not telling me this because it's going to make me happy. You're doing it because of how it makes you look, because of how it'll make you comfortable. So very early on, I was like, I don't trust any of y'all. I hope you're all wrong because you're like, the way I talk is wrong, the way I look is wrong, the way I'm presenting is wrong. I'm like, I just have to assume you're all wrong. I need to go figure out who I am. And I'm going to trust myself, my assessment, you know.
This is interesting. I was in the car with my grandson. Cindy and I were driving. I can't remember where we were driving. We had the grandsons. We had our two oldest grandsons in the car. And they were being normal kids. They were not wanting to be in the car.
Oh,
and I kind of flashed back to the 70s and the 80s. And I realized adults back then, I don't want to throw my parents on the bus, but you know, that generation, they would sacrifice our mental health for their comfort and quiet. And I went, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
They're just uncomfortable. So let them cry. I can be uncomfortable for a little while, but I'm not going to create a situation where they need to be quiet because I want quiet. And that's going back into that. It's like, you have to look. So this is the question that Cindy and I ask quite a bit is, do I want my grandsons or my granddaughters or my kids to have therapy for what I'm about to do to them? Right? Or can I suck it up a little bit and then realize I'm just uncomfortable and that's okay?
And I think that's huge because I know I love my kids so much. I would do anything for them that's in my power, right? And I know that about my feelings. But when I get home on a hard day and everything they do and say bugs the crap out of me, I'm like, it's not them.
No.
I need to check myself. I use it as a signal like, Ariana, you're really wound up right now. You can't handle extra noise, questions, concerns. Like they're just trying to share a fun video with you. And you're like, gosh, what do you want? I'm like, I have to check myself and be like, what do I need to relax? Because this isn't fair. I'm being subpar for them and I'm making them feel annoying when I'm just dysregulated. And that's my sign. Like I need 5 minutes, guys. I had a hard day.
And
then
that's
I can come
normal.
back.
You need that transition time. Interesting thing I learned this last week was how we come home and how we address when we're tired with our kids or our loved ones is oftentimes what somebody did to us, and how we learned that I needed to earn their attention. I needed to meet their standard to get their focus for a few moments. And then I turned around and went, Cindy, you have to meet this to get my standard.
You put conditions on it.
And it's like, and that didn't exist. That's not really true, you know. And that's where we look at it and go, oftentimes the negativity that we go before we go to bed or before when we get home from work is because someone taught us that's how they wanted to be treated. And we thought that was normal. And we didn't sit down and go, well, wait a second. I always tell myself, you can be tired and nice at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
You can be stressed
and kind at the same time.
Exactly. That just because we had examples in our lives, they couldn't moderate their own emotions doesn't mean that that's normal. And Cindy and I are like, we don't have a lot of examples. And we say that. It's like, we don't pick it on anybody. We're like, if we need to go into the territory of where we're not going to take our past or people in our past to tell us how we're going to do our future because we want to do something different.
And this is a really silly example, but you sparked that in me where I, the other day, me and Cody were fighting or just having a disagreement, right? We were kind of, I felt disconnected at that moment because we're kind of pushing each other apart. But I was making breakfast and I was like, I bet he's hungry. Like, I'm going to make him a bagel, like whatever. And I feel like we've had discussions over the years where I'm like, I can be upset with you or an action or how you're making me feel. But ultimately, I still want to love you. It's like, I'm not going to cut off my niceties. Like I would make anyone that's in my house a bagel at that moment. So, But it was just, it's funny because in his family, it didn't feel like that. It was like, oh, you're cut off. You're disgusting to me. Your behavior's not okay. Like, get over there. And he felt like he couldn't access any love or ask for any service. And so we had this point where he's like, it's confusing. Yeah. Like, you're mad at me, yet you're still being nice to me. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how I am. Like, I know this is just about a situation. It's not, I hate you. It's, I dislike what you're doing. I'm still going to serve you. I'm still going to do the things I normally do in the home, you know, for the family. But like, it was just interesting to see like, oh, you haven't recognized this, and that you don't have to cut yourself off from people when they're mad at you.
And that's an experience that he brought from somebody else that taught him that. And that we all do it.
Yeah.
And that's the ugly part of therapy is realizing what you brought. And then you went, wow, that was really dumb.
Like, how did I not see that's what I was doing
before? And that's where going back to full circle is apologizing. You know, an apology isn't because you had ill intent. I mean, there's some things you do because you have ill intent, but oftentimes the most impactful apology is recognizing I was using a tool that I thought was successful that wasn't, that caused harm, and now I know differently, and now I can put that tool down, and now I can say to my kids, I recognize it, and I'm sorry. And now I can pick up another set of tools that are more healthy.
And that doesn't make you an awful person. That doesn't mean they're going to think you're weak or that you're anything negative.
If they do,
they'll get it eventually.
What's the big deal?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like if they think that that was an interesting conversation with Lizette when I was putting down anger. It's like, but I'm this. And she's like, you don't need that. And you can tell you put your anger down, you don't realize, no, you can still be a man. You can still all do these masculine things, whatever you think that is. Anger was never the tool that you needed to do those things. Well, it's the same thing as like, does somebody really need to be afraid of you? Does somebody really need to be intimidated by you? Or is that just not a big deal?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not defined by who's scared of me.
Well, and what's my intent in this conversation? Like, is it to scare you and rub your nose in it, or is it to come to a nice conclusion? You know,
you know, it's funny. You get out of that alpha male realm. It's so much nicer. It's so much nicer.
No, 100%. Well, this combo went a lot differently than I thought, but I'm grateful for it. It was interesting. I feel like we were kind of speaking from a space of intuition and sharing. So I appreciate you being willing to do that.
Anytime, always come back.
Thank you.
Yep. Till the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode of the Awaken Your Ego podcast. We hope our discussions have inspired you to explore new dimensions of health and wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower individuals on their path to optimal well-being.
Stay tuned for more insightful conversations, and until next time, may you continue to awaken your ego and embrace the extraordinary potential within.
Take care, be well, and remember, your journey matters.